Now, before we begin this video, I want to preface this by saying I don't presume to know what goes into running a multi-billion-dollar corporation that produces toys, nor do I try to presume the ability and the skill of the people working at the companies to design, develop, produce, and release and distribute product to customers. However, when all this shows up in a single week, I think something's wrong. It's morphin' time! Hello, this is Soundout here, and let's talk about the Hasbro flood. I don't even know where to begin with this. So I just showed you a huge stack of toys. We got Transformers, we got Marvel Legends, there's some G.I. Joe, there's some Star Wars. And what am I talking about? Well, all this stuff came out and shipped and arrived at my house within a single week. And it was not intended to be the case, because not a single one of these things shipped on time, except for Carol Danvers' Warbird. Everything else was early, and sometimes it was early by a couple days, sometimes it was early by a couple months. But the point that I'm making about this video is that there was an obscene amount of sudden date changes and things releasing way earlier than intended. See, let me step you through the process of pre-ordering something from Hasbro. They say, all right, Marvel Legends Astonishing X-Men Wolverine will be available in fall of 2024 at your favorite retailer. And then I say, okay, cool. The pre-order went up. All right, so Wolverine's coming out September 1st. I put that in my calendar. I plan my budget around that. I also kind of adjust for things coming in a little early, like, maybe a month at most, but kind of a couple weeks early because, shipping, distribution, that's a tricky business. It's hard to land things. But when it's September 1st and then I got him on July 25th, that's arrived, charged on July 22nd, do you know what your company's doing, Hasbro? Because this product has to go through several months of design development, several months of production, additional shipping time when it leaves the factory, and they update the date they email you if you order from Hasbro Pulse about 4 days before the release date when it's changed, and they only update the date about a week before it ships. When these things leave the factory, they should have an estimate of when they'll arrive. I know this from other companies. Super 7 is very good that when it leaves the warehouse or they leave the shipping dock at the factory, they say, okay, it's going to be in your hands by this date, and they're always on target with those dates. While production dates shift and slide and adjust with Super 7, they're pretty much like, if that's going to be in your hands in September because leaving the factory now. So Hasbro, as this multi-billion-dollar corporation that has a lot of people working, not as many as they used to because they fired a bunch of people last year, which was ridiculous, they cannot get their dates right. I buy stuff from Mattel. That stuff is always pretty much on track. They said that the Master of the Universe, Masterverse Beastman was coming out in August. He stocked at Big Bad Toy Store in July. That's not too far off. I understand a couple weeks of variance, and there's some Hasbro examples here that are just a couple weeks off, and that I don't mind so much. It does screw with the budget a little bit, but I try to plan that things would be a couple weeks early. McFarlane Toys, if they don't delay it, are almost always on time, whether it's an exclusive or a retail product. I noticed through Amazon they tend to delay a couple times. That's fine. I don't mind a delay. I think if this Wolverine came out September 15th instead of September 1st, I wouldn't be that pissed about it because I already was planning to have the money available around mid-August. But when he shows up in late July, I have to scramble and make new plans. Now, this is also an issue when it's not just one-offs, right? It's not just Wolverine. Carol Danvers was on time, but she came out at the same time as the Spider-Man. Plus, Scar, Son of Hulk was a couple weeks early, and the Luke Cage and Iron Fist 2-pack was supposed to be September, and this Wolverine and Spider-Man pack was supposed to be August, and this Cabal pack was supposed to be September, and Swoop was supposed to be September, and this Danny Ketch Ghost Rider was supposed to be September. These are all September items that all shipped around July 21st, which is not helpful. Because on top of that, you had exclusives like this Target 4-pack for Transformers. That came out relatively on time, about a week early. And then you have this Night Force cycle with Shockwave from G.I. Joe. That also came out about on time. But because it was at the same time a bunch of retail product came early, it just, I don't know, it's overwhelming. All this stuff just showed up at my house, and I haven't opened any of it, as you can see. aside from the Wolverine, if you caught last week's video on Wolverine. But there's still more to come. I have been charged for Comic Book Grimlock and Springer. Springer was an October 1st release, so we're just getting further off track. And then the next couple weeks, there's a couple Star Wars figures that were also set for October that are planning to charge at the last day of July. We're going to go through each figure, and let's talk about what the date was, what the date became, and kind of break down everything that's shown up, and then everything I know that's date changes further. And then let's come back and talk and analyze it a little bit further. Now, before we break down everything that has shown up recently, I'd ask that you please hit the like button and subscribe and the notification bell if you haven't already. Doing those two things helps the channel grow, helps support the whole thing we're doing here, and helps me keep going with making videos like this, because I think that some of these topics are ones we should talk about. Not just the toys, but the experience of toy collecting, I think, is something that we need to discuss a little bit more in the toy space. All right, let's start with the precursors to the Flood. These are two items that came out kind of early, and I didn't consider them part of the Flood because they were a little bit earlier than I thought. This Bumblebee, I think, was supposed to be September. This is the new deluxe A-level Bumblebee, and he didn't go up for pre-order on Hasbro Pulse and stuff, so I was like, okay, you know, Amazon said, like, it was either August or September, and he showed up in early July, like really early July. And so I was like, okay, that's fine. It's just one item. Then I got my comic Shockwave early, which looks amazing, by the way. I really love the comic styling on him. And I was like, okay, he came out early. He was supposed to be August. So I was like, that's not too bad. Everything else, though, everything else. All right, let's start with the Classified Series Night Force Shockwave. This was a Walmart exclusive. This was $41.41, and it was originally scheduled to release on July 18th. It came out July 15th. Not too bad. They just got them in a couple days early, and they shipped them a little bit early. Does seem like with the store exclusives, things stay mostly on track. So no real complaints here. Just it was a couple days early. That's fine. All right, the Star Wars The Black Series Inquisitor and Duros Bounty Hunter Halloween Edition was $48.42 from Amazon. This we did not know existed prior to July 11th when it just came in stock out of nowhere. So I didn't know that it was coming at all. And then I really wanted it because it's an Inquisitor done like Dracula and Cad Bane done as Frankenstein. So it's just like 100% up my alley because I love my classic monsters. So this set I definitely wanted to get. I got in on the second shipment, so it arrived on July 17th. It's not really a date that changed because we didn't have a date at all. It's just weird when a complete surprise drop happens. Marvel Legends Scar, Son of Hulk, he was $43.04. I got him from Hasbro Pulse. Originally set for August 1st, he released July 16th. That's not too bad. It's a couple weeks early, which does screw with budgets a little bit, you know, pay dates and stuff. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad. Okay, they got him a little bit early. No big deal. Legacy United Sideburn and Hotshot. $53.80 total from Hasbro Pulse. Originally scheduled for a September 1st release date, they actually came out July 16th. That's a whole month and a half early, and that's where I start to get a problem, because I'm like, okay, I get a month early, at most, couple weeks early, but if you're a month and a half off, it doesn't feel right, especially because these two guys had leaked physically prior to their reveals. At least Sideburn did. I don't know if Hotshot did, I can't remember that far back. But they leaked prior, which means they were already being made. They could have announced them sooner. They could have had a more accurate date because they were already in production. The Hasbro Pulse exclusive Marvel Legends Wolverine and Spider-Man Fantastic 4-pack was $53.80. It was originally August 1st. It did ship July 18th. That's not too bad, like I said, with Scar. Just like this in Scar, not so bad in a bubble, but when you include everything else, it just is another thing to the pile. But if something's within 2 weeks of its release date, I'm not that mad about it. It's just like, okay, they thought it was going to be August 1st. It just got in a little early. A little. Point is a little. The Transformers Legacy United 4-pack, Target exclusive. It was $61.34 for me because I actually pre-ordered it with a discount, which was cool. This set was originally scheduled for July 21st. It did ship July 18th. Not too bad. Like I said with the Walmart thing, it was on time as far as I'm concerned. The unfortunate part is, again, the timing with everything else, but hey, this shipped on time, and Target actually shipped my pre-order, so that's a double win. Marvel Legends Warbird, originally a Target exclusive. I paid $20.44, thank you discounts. She was scheduled to release on July 21st, and that's the day that they shipped mine. So she was perfectly on time, no complaints there. I think the other problem with all these Hasbro dates moving up is they happen to move up in the week when all the Walmart and Target exclusives were shipping. That's what adds to the problem. Marvel Legends Astonishing Wolverine, I got him from Hasbro Pulse. He was $26.90. Originally scheduled for September 1st, he did ship July 22nd. He actually took a little bit longer to get to my place than some of the other Hasbro Pulse stuff. They've been pumping, by the way. I keep getting shipping notices at like midnight, and I'm like, okay, so they know there's a ton of product coming in. They're pumping it out fast. At least we're getting it quick for charging us early. But yeah, this is the start of pretty much all the 9/1 Marvel Legends for the 85th line. All came out late July. Marvel Legends Danny Ketch Ghost Rider, also originally scheduled for September 1st, releasing July 22nd. Hasbro Pulse was $53.80. Now, I'm not going to complain about getting a Ghost Rider early, especially one that I've waited years for them to properly make. It's just, again, in a bubble, it's fine, but in the grand scheme of things, not so much. Marvel Legends Iron Fist and Luke Cage, I got it from Hasbro Pulse for $53.80. Originally scheduled for September 1st, actually shipping July 22nd. It's really funny how a bunch of the stuff that said 9/1 was actually 7/22. Dinobot Swoop, Hasbro Pulse, $59.18. He was originally September 1st, actually released July 23rd. Now, this was August on some retailers. Hasbro Pulse was saying September. So clearly, again, miscommunication. August would have been a more accurate date. The Marvel Legends Cabal 3-pack, Amazon exclusive, $80.71. Originally listed at $100, which was not correct, and they had to fix it later down to the $75 price. Originally scheduled for September 1st, shipped July 23rd. Even though Amazon, up until the day it shipped, kept telling me it was going to arrive August 20th. So, fun times. Don't always check the Amazon date. Check the release date on the page to really see when it's coming out. And Marvel Legends Spirit of Spider-Man I got from Amazon for $26.90. Originally scheduled for September 1st. Actually released July 23rd. This guy was price adjusted, or was technically wrong. So Amazon put him up for $24.99, but he actually was supposed to be $29.99, and then Amazon corrected it later, but kept the original price on the orders of the lower price. This keeps happening. Hasbro's losing communication points in every direction. Still to come, comic book Grimlock was originally scheduled for August 1st, actually released July 26th. I don't have a problem with that. Again, in a bubble. Hasbro Pulse, $64.56. Also, Transformers Studio Series Springer, $56.79, was originally scheduled for October 1st, but actually released July 24th. Also still to come, Black Series Jedi Master Indara, aka Carrie-Anne Moss action figure with working knees. I wouldn't believe that it hasn't really happened before. $26.90 Hasbro Pulse. She actually was scheduled for October 1st as well, including all the Acolyte figures that have moved up to July 30th, from what I can tell, on Hasbro Pulse. And then adding to that, just to knock another a Star Wars thing in here, Black Series Darth Sidious, Hasbro Pulse $26.90, originally scheduled for September 1st, is now August 2nd. So about a month early on that as well. That may not be the end of it. I checked this morning, all my Hasbro Pulse dates, all my Amazon dates, nothing else has moved yet, but I have a feeling this is not going to be the end of things releasing early. So I never like to bring up a problem without providing some form of a solution. And while I don't know the internal logistics of how Hasbro runs their business, there definitely seems to be an issue in the communication between when the product is produced and when it is released to stores. So it's got some kind of thing between it that there's a little bit of a friction. And this is not necessarily the fault of anybody at the company or anybody that we see on the live streams. The marketing teams do a great job. They tell us when things go for pre-order. They tell us, you know, what the product is. They do a good job. The design teams, of course, are doing great work on the figures. And then the production and producing side of things has brought the number of QC problems down a whole lot. And, you know, they've redesigned the packaging and stuff. There's been a lot of changes at Hasbro lately. There has been a lot of layoffs as well, and I wonder if this is where some of the issues come in, where we have issues like retailers putting up the Jean Grey Phoenix for $34.99 when she's actually $49.99, or the Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man, which was $29.99, but some retailers listed it for $24.99. That sounds like to me that there was a communication issue between actual cost of product and what the original marketing plans were. This has been a consistent issue with pricing, is that press releases will say one thing, retailers will say another. And that's something that I think Hasbro needs to tighten up on as well, because it becomes frustrating as a customer to go, oh, this thing is this, oh, it's actually this price, because that happens too frequently, I think. So the thing is I think as a customer and as a fan, what exhausts me the most about Hasbro product is not even necessarily the output, but the dates being wrong. Because if things are nicely spread out through the year, I feel like I'm enjoying the experience of collecting, whereas when they all are dropped on me at once, I feel like I'm overwhelmed. And that's kind of the frustrating part of it, and that's kind of where the source of this video comes from. So much product shipped in 1 week. In this 1 week of July, I got all of my August pre-orders, most of my September minus like 1 or 2, and then a couple of my Octobers have now shipped. That just seems like the company doesn't know how to set a date. And so in some cases, I almost feel maybe you shouldn't even set a date. Maybe you should just, say it's fall, and then you just put down like third quarter 2024, because then that would at least, leave it to interpretation. When there's a specific date, when it says September 1st and it comes in July 20th, that just feels like the company doesn't know when their product is actually shipping, which doesn't give the customer much faith in the company. So I think that this is something that needs to be improved on. I think it's something that should be talked about more, because I think that it's really hard to balance a budget and to collect on a budget when the stuff you want, and the stuff that sells out especially, comes in way early, because then you have to start deciding what you actually want, and in some cases you may not circle back around to the things you didn't buy. So I think it actually hurts Hasbro's business in the long run, and I hope that this is something they can fix, because for me, with the Comic-Con reveals, which I'm filming this during San Diego Comic-Con, the Comic-Con reveals have been so cool from Hasbro, and I'm excited about a lot of stuff, but I kind of go, well, maybe I won't pre-order these G.I. Joes, because they say October, but I don't know if I believe they're coming out in October, and I really can't afford anything right now. Because that's where my mentality is at. And a lot of people's are too. We talk about this in the Discord server all the time. Like, oh yeah, no, Jean Grey's coming out in October. That's kind of the thing that has become sort of a staple. And I don't think that's necessarily a good thing for Hasbro. And it's definitely not a good thing for us as fans, because we started to play the guessing game of when's it coming in? When's it coming in? Because I'd rather just know. There's a lot of companies. Super 7 is very good at, they put dates and then they change dates. Like they have a running like pre-order date thing on Super 7's site. The thing I like about Super 7 is they say, this left the factory, it'll be in your hands by this month. And that is so nice. And I wish Hasbro could like figure out, when is this leaving the factory? So when is this going to be in customers' hands? Because from what I understand, there's a certain amount of time it takes to get from the factory to the distribution warehouses. And that time doesn't really change by like massive months. It changes by days, maybe a week, but not months like what we're seeing. Like I think if they were like, oh, hey, these Marvel Legends are already in production, they're going to be done by this date, then that means we're going to have the first batch by this date, and that's the date they should set, and then delay as necessary, because I think delays are better than moving things up. But that's overall just my 2 cents on the situation. I do think that overall, this is something that is very frustrating as a collector. It's something that I really want Hasbro to improve on, because I do, especially Marvel Legends right now, I really like the figures, I really like the toys, but if it's going to be so chaotic, I'm not going to pre-order anything. The only thing I'm going to pre-order is the stuff I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely going to sell out, and that's a hard game to play as well, because sometimes you're like, that's going to sell out, and then it just sticks around forever, or you're going to be like, that won't sell out, and then you can't find it anymore. And so I think taking some of the frustration of the collecting experience is not just reducing the number of products, like I talked about in a previous video, but also figuring out how to land the dates more accurately, so that way fans can figure out the budgets. Because I've been talking to a lot of people about this. The prices for some figures feel too high, like for Black Series, but then for Marvel Legends, I'm like, yeah, I don't mind paying $25 for this figure. I do mind paying $25 for this figure a month and a half before I thought I was going to have to. And so that's kind of where the situation lies. So that's pretty much all for this video. If you did enjoy this, leave the like, subscribe, notification bell for future uploads, that kind of good stuff. If you haven't already, really do appreciate that. And leave any comments down below. Tell me your stories. Tell me your thoughts. Does the date thing bother you, or you're just like, it doesn't matter. Things show up early, and that's cool. Let me know what you are feeling about this in the comments down below. I'd love to get some more opinions and reactions. Also, if you do enjoy this type of discussion, we have our Discord server in the link below. You can join that. Come hang out. You can also join our live streams every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern here on this YouTube channel. Always a great time. You can also join as a channel member for perks like early access to videos, member-exclusive live streams, and special shoutouts. So let's give some special shoutouts to those supporting our channel. Special shout out to our channel members, including our Captain Tiers, Spin-54, Super Shaddix Boom, Tom McKay, Master Ben 95, Swapsito 14, Mohammed Faiz Daniel, SSJ4 Jason, Scrublord Gaming, and Psycho O's. And thank you to everybody who helps support this channel through the channel memberships as well as watching the videos. You can also find me across most social media platforms at Soundout12. You can find my awesome graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643. And you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, time to open the toys we talked about.